You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, King Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AfterBuzz TV for Modern Family. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Modern Family news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AfterBuzz TV for Modern Family.
Yay! We're here. This is Shannon Joy Rogers, and I am here with Mario Hernandez. It's just us for the day, and we are here to talk about episode 8, After the Fire. Great show.
What a solemn title. After the Fire. Makes it sound like things we lost in the fire.
Yeah. After this, I was like, man, is my insurance policy like legit right now? Because that would really be devastating.
Do you have renter's insurance?
I do.
Okay.
I need to just check it out,
all right.
though. There's all those clauses, and
yeah.
California is different from Texas. I actually had it like kind of moved
transferred.
over. So we'll see about that.
All right. Yeah.
But I thought it was great. The Dunphys got together to host like a charity for this family that was close to them in the neighborhood, for everybody to bring their appliances, just extra things laying around they could donate to help this family build their house back up from the ground up. And at the very end, you see that they move into a house that Phil was actually a part of. He was the agent for.
That's right.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. No, and the whole episode took place in a day, which is cool. So it's like we have that kind of, unitary, like everything will happen on this day, which is, wonderful if you think about shows like The Simpsons or something where people always say, well, Maggie's been, she's been 8, or 4, whatever, for 20-something years. And, well, if you think about, like, if each episode is a day, then there's still plenty of comic gold.
It's true.
Yeah. So it's, it was a good episode for sure.
So, have you ever had any kind of disaster like that at your house or near miss?
Actually,
situations?
strange. The right before I moved here, actually,
Really?
I moved out here to LA from New York, from Brooklyn, about 13 months ago, and literally, my last day of work, I was flying out on a Monday. My last day of work, Friday, that Thursday night, so the weekend before I moved out here, there was a big rainstorm, and I was keeping my stuff in a friend's basement in Brooklyn, and didn't put 2 and 2 together. It was a heavy rainstorm, and I closed the windows and was like, man, it's really raining cats and dogs. And then in the morning when I went downstairs, the entire basement was flooded.
Oh no.
And with 1 or 2 exceptions, the smart thing is to have them in plastic tubs, but I had most of my stuff either in cardboard boxes or in suitcases. And then very stupidly, I had put the suitcases flat on the ground because every time I went to get clothes, I just opened up the suitcase. So I had them flat on the ground for maximum seepage. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. Luckily, I kind of sold most of my stuff. So it was basically just clothes. So I literally, and then they're all wet. So it was like, pounds and pounds of wet clothes. So
did you wash it out or?
Yeah, I immediately took them. And it was actually, interestingly enough, in all of my years in New York, I lived there for about 7 years, I had my laundry done for me twice, and I'm very particular about my laundry. Even now, it's like I let my girlfriend do some of it, and I do my own. But I was so particular, and then literally, like my last load of laundry that I did in New York was I had this nice little Chinese woman do about and I showed up, and it was and they do it by weight, which sucks, of course, because it was wet and it was expensive. So
oh man, are you serious? They do it by weight?
Yeah, they do it by weight. So I showed up with.
I didn't realize
40 or 50 pounds worth, of wet clothes that normally would only weigh, 26 pounds or whatever. But so that was kind of a pain. But that's a minor thing. I haven't really, thankfully, I've never had anything weird. My uncle had actually in the Woodlands, he had a tree fall and crush his house.
Isn't
like
that
a
the worst?
wedding cake.
It's so yeah. With that, I know a friend of mine who had like a palm tree. Like when those things fall, they can do damage. Like not the entire tree, but the leaves.
Yeah.
That's why they cut them so often. And it dented the top of her car. And the city was like,
Oh, well.
there's nothing we can do about. Like they used to do something about it, I guess, years ago, but now there's nothing they can do about it. So it's like, God, that is just. It's so out of everybody's hands, like,
Right.
At that point. But yeah, luckily I've never had any really large disaster.
Well, with our mutual friend Andrew, the last time we went to, were you with us? The last time we were at UCB a few weeks ago, when we came out, the palm tree in front of his apartment was on fire.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, and it was funny because like we're walking back just very casually, we're chatting, and I had parked literally right in front of his building, which is about a block away from the UCB theater, and fire engines and they're walking by. We're still talking, and then like we're about a block away, and we see him park, and I casually said, "Oh, your house is on fire." And then we kept talking, and it wasn't until literally we got in front of his house, he was like, "Wait, that's my building." And I said, "Yeah, I told you about a block ago that your house was on fire." And it turns out it wasn't his house; it was the palm tree that was right in front. But my car was wedged in between the fire truck that had come and the palm tree that's on fire. And I have a rag top.
Oh,
so I was
my
like,
God.
"Ah," but
It was all good.
It was fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Man, that's close call.
I know. I've actually seen more stuff happen here in LA than I did in New York. And I know New York has this kind of
Like the reputation of
of
having
it being
kind
like,
of like
where the action
disaster
happened,
happens.
disaster.
Yeah.
No way, man. I've seen more car accidents, more like LA is the real deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so another thing about this episode we were pointing out was the pairing up of people and how those stories, get told. And the main one I thought about was when Cam and Alex and Haley, the three of them went off on their little duty to go get the truck, the moving truck, so they could move all the new possessions to the new house. And you never really see Cam and Alex and Haley have a storyline.
No.
And I'm just thinking as like a writer before even experiencing this episode, how do you even put that on paper? It's like
Right.
they did such a good job of kind of making it seamless, and it's just like, oh, you're going with your Uncle Cam, and now you guys are gonna have a little adventure together.
A whole
And
episode.
it was super funny, and then the audience is attracted to that kind of thing, seeing every aspect and every family member intertwined, because that's got to be difficult to figure out in a season where each character's storyline goes, where the arc goes, how to flow between each other, between the families, and not just have it be just Manny, Jay, and Gloria, not just
Right.
have it be just Lily, Cam, and Mitch. You know what I mean? Like having everybody kind of mix and mingle with each other, which I think is great. I mean, the writers on this show are obviously brilliant.
Yeah.
And so I really liked their story a lot.
Well, the way they're able to do it is, in every one of the families, there's the breadwinner who goes out and has a job, and then one person who stays home. So you're right that the challenge is how do we get those people that stay home to kind of mix it up with the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So like Claire, we've got this plot line that's been dropped for now, right? She's running for
Yeah, we haven't seen it this week, and last week wasn't a new episode,
Right.
I believe. So,
so there's that's kind of that's on hold for now. So we know that that's going to recur, and we saw
should
David
come back
Cross.
up. They added a couple of shows, I think, to the season, or
nice.
at least on IMDb they did. There's going to be 3 more after this one.
Cool.
Maybe starting in the first week of December, since next week's Thanksgiving week. I'm not
Right.
sure if there's a Thanksgiving episode.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I
I
wanna
love
see
their
it.
holiday.
The holiday episodes are wonderful.
Yeah.
So then we have, and then in this case, Cam, who's kind of usually at home with Lily, is now interacting with the girls, and it's one of those things where when you're writing sitcoms, it's the sit in sitcoms. It's a situational. So you have these characters that are each have their own thing, and in Cam's case, he is this hypersensitive, kind of proud,
strong,
just
masculine,
proud, strong, masculine. Yeah, in his own way, right? He's
Yeah.
very country. He was raised on a farm. He's willing to tell you that like at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
He's always willing to bust out his
Farm
farm
knowledge.
credentials,
Yeah.
and his farm knowledge. And so in this one, it's like, okay, well, how can we offend his masculinity, his gayness in this case? And it's, they make this offhand comment that he interprets as, you're gay, therefore you can't drive a truck. And
Yeah.
they're like, and then it turns out it's like, no, we're surprised you can drive a truck. We're surprised, you don't
'cause
hurt
it's you.
yourself because
Yeah.
it's you, because you can do anything. And, you're usually such a crazy person that, so that was nice. And then of course, even within that world, the two girls, they get to, bust each other's chops.
Yeah.
Haley's the older one.
Yes.
Yeah, Haley calls Alex the nerd twice. So there's still like, even within that kind of a subset of the plot line is that we're still going to keep these two. The two sisters are going to bicker,
Yeah.
and then in the face of adversity, they're gonna bond.
together,
with Crazy Cam,
help
as
their uncle
help
out,
their uncle
yeah.
out, and then they go back to right.
I love the
sisters.
guy that just has one line, that the trucker that Haley
Bear.
goes again.
Yeah, the big bear. Yeah, that's awesome. He's
And
like,
Cam's like offended, like, oh yeah, that guy, please.
yeah, she's gonna help us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Along with he's going to get the moving van to move all their stuff, and so the boys, Luke and Manny.
Yeah, the boys get into their own adventure.
Yeah, they do. They're packing away. Luke's packing away like his rollerblades, some toys and things, and then Manny's mom, Gloria, comes up with a toy that they both have been wanting,
Yep.
and they're like, and so Manny tries to be the voice of reason, and Luke is obviously the devil on his shoulder speaking into his ear, and
Yep.
he's like, that kid never shares his toys. We're gonna play with them right now. I'm like, yeah.
And he said, what does he say to him? He says something like, you're a bad influence, and he's like, you need me.
Yeah.
No, it's funny that like you said, Manny's the voice of reason. He's kind of the more adult, and I love that because once again, that's something you can play with forever. That's such a great character trait, that he's this kind of emotionally developed young man, this boy who wants to be a man, but he's still a boy.
But he's still a boy.
But he's still a boy.
So he's gonna get into trouble like this,
Yes.
and let it be.
And the whole time he can be neurotic and whiny about it. Be like, why did I let you talk me into this? Why, have I, I'm walking to Canada, he says,
Yeah.
he's like, they're going to look for your body. So he tries to be this kind of adult, but, his answer to that is, I'm going to walk to Canada.
Yeah.
That's such a kid, being like, I'm out of here. I can't.
I can't deal with it.
I can't do it. But Luke is the bad boy, and they didn't highlight this too much in this episode, but I love Luke and his father's dynamic. I just think for whatever reason, that is the bloodline that I see most clearly. In other words, the Luke is kind of his father's spitting image. They're just a couple of knuckleheaded guys. And they get into trouble together, and quite often they're doing stuff. And even Luke has his limits, like with the Treehouse episode. But I love that. I love that
they said in one episode, I think it was in the first season, I'm kind of vaguely remembering, when Ty, he plays Phil, had a talking head in one of the couch interviews, and he said something like, as long as I stay my little boy's best friend, I know that he'll
Yes.
respect me, or something
yes.
along those lines. So I feel like of course that's his boy, he has two girls that obviously he loves, but that's his boy, and that's, he wants to raise them and have fun with them, and, let him become the man that he hopes that he can mold him to be.
The man that he kind of turned into, which
Yeah.
is a good heart, maybe not,
Maybe not
the smartest guy in the room.
not always bright, but
Not
his intentions, he means well.
Yeah. And one of the other really wonderful things about the show, and you see this, I think, and certainly in this episode, especially with the kind of the codas that they have at the end, where everybody's kind of they're doing voiceovers and they're talking about, family is. It's a really sweet show, despite the craziness, despite the zaniness. It's a really sweet, nice show, and it's a nice. I think it's a nice antidote to, and it's very traditional. I think classic in that way, a nice traditional antidote to, some of the other newer shows that are coming out now that are kind of meaner.
Even other shows that are centered around family. We were talking about this another time about how there's no one's cheating on anybody.
Right.
There's never any scandals, or no one's getting divorced, or you know what I mean. It's just this is the family that we've had for however X
Right.
many years, and there are generations like that out there in the world. Not everybody's family. No offense to anyone whose parents have been divorced.
Sorry, or
going through some bad times right now with your family, but
Yeah.
but it's true, and it still speaks to those people too, because that's the life that they imagine. That's what they hope to build from if they've had a broken home or whatever, it kind of gives them hope instead of just dwelling in the negative, pessimistic sides of how things can go wrong in a family. But they never touch on that in this.
There's
enough drama with just their everyday lives.
Right. Again, the character, and they this because they teach us this at UCB, and it's like character will drive everything. So it's like once we have these characters in place, we don't need anything else, and we don't need some outside forces. In this case, there was a fire that happened off screen to a family that we've probably not met. I don't think we've met them throughout the series, but we're now using that as the plot point around which all of these other things are going to revolve. And the thing is, we know these characters, so it's almost like, you could almost draw stuff out of a hat and be like, okay, well, in this episode, Cam, we're going to give Cam something to do where his masculinity is going to be offended. The massage scene, we're going to have an intimate moment, which is what Jay dreads and Phil longs for in that dynamic. And what's the funniest way we can do it? We'll give him a massage, and then that'll lend itself to a lot of kind of homoerotic humor, and then the happy ending joke at the end, of course. Which they did that. You knew that was coming at some point. No pun intended. And but they did it in a cool way, that was still unexpected, and then
it was delivered just like flawless.
And the right reactions. So it's a great show. It's such a good show.
Let's see. I like Phil being the massage therapist. He just goes. Not that he's always trying to impress Jay. He just enjoys doing stuff 100% and committing to it.
Yes.
Like he had candles. He was, warming up, stretching his wrist. And that's, to a T, that's what a massage therapist is, just like that, and he has his own table and everything.
Had they ever mentioned that?
I tried to think about it. I don't know.
I don't think so. So that's one of those, that's wonderful,
That's like when they just brought up what Jay does for a living, the building closets,
right?
In commercial buildings type thing. I never really knew what he did, but I figured it's something on a large scale,
Yeah.
But this isn't a hidden kind of talent, The only thing I thought about was anything for his backstory was him being a cheerleader, and I was like, I don't know if they've ever mentioned any other aspirations that he's had or other jobs or anything like that.
That's the beautiful thing when you start in the middle of something, you can then just go back and kind of reverse engineer and say, okay, well, he was whatever. It's something to think about for any writers out there that think that they have to come in. Obviously, you want to know your characters, you want to give them a backstory, but even once you start down that path, don't be afraid to kind of go back in there and tweak it, because if it's, in the case of Phil, how old is he? Mid to late 30s, possibly early 40s.
I would say he's got an 18-year-old. I would say 40s.
So 40s? Okay. I'm being optimistic. I don't know. Maybe he could be.
Teen dad.
He could have been. He could have been. But yeah, so don't be afraid to, those are 40 odd years that in the, we know college, we know, okay, maybe when he was a kid, there's a lot of time for you to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, even 4 years of doing something just every day in a 40-year span, that's only a tenth of his life.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it still made a huge impact somewhere. So, and you also don't have to like throw all that information out to the audience in the first season.
Right.
You really don't,
And also it shows, it moves away, once again, this modern family idea moves away from the traditional notion that, you go to college, you know what you want, you're at the same job for 30, 40 years, which doesn't happen. People jump around.
It doesn't. Yeah, my brother and I had that conversation when I first decided to move out here. I went to college. 2 weeks after I graduated, I went to work for the energy company that I interned for, worked there for 5 years as a financial analyst, and then I was like, still itching to act.
Yeah.
So I just kind of left, and obviously my parents want me to live the life that, makes, that I seem to enjoy and, have fun and love my life, obviously. But they also come from the age of, sticking to one job and that's where your career stays for 20 or within that same field or something of that nature, but that's just so not how it is now.
It's not how it is anymore.
And especially out in Los Angeles, it's just, you don't even, most of these people that write or act don't have college degrees, hadn't gone through didn't go to Tisch as as an actor.
Even if you did, you're still bouncing around.
You're still fighting with the other 5'10" African American female that didn't.
That's you?
You, Mario.
Oh, that's me.
Fighting
Okay, I'm the
against
5'10".
me.
Oh,
we are both.
We're in the running.
Demographic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's true, you just never know. It's so subjective, and so that's fascinating to me. But yes, that is a great thing that they kind of touch upon.
Yeah. So it's little details that you kind of let out, and so this is character. People's lives are a character. So on one hand, you don't want to go plot heavy and say, and then in 1992 I moved here, because that's just trivia. But we can kind of discern from that if he used to be a masseur. And now he's now he's real estate, and now he's we can assume that he did some other things. And that's how people are. That fleshes out the character, that makes it well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of these people, especially the adults, they have this whole rich history that's just really fun for us to discover and for the writers
kids,
to write.
You get to see it right in front of your eyes. So I think that's also a fun dynamic too. Yeah, no Lily in this episode again.
No, yeah.
I wonder how long she must have certain union rules about hours and things of that nature. And if she's not really needed, I don't see her packing a box or anything. And maybe they just kind of keep her out. But
they
I
say
don't really
kids
know.
and dogs.
I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, they say kids and dogs. That you don't want to shoot with them because there's rules and they're unpredictable and stuff. So maybe they try to minimize.
Yeah, I actually this kid that I've been babysitting forever, he was just in a movie with Rob Lowe, the Drew Peterson story, and I was his guardian on set while we worked over a weekend.
They're strict about that, right?
Yeah, well, I was just because his mom couldn't be there, but there's still a teacher, quote unquote, and actually since school wasn't going on, she kind of had board games and all those little quiz puzzles and things like that, just to keep him entertained and to make sure that everything was running smoothly, because he has it's either a younger brother or him as a baby, and they were twin little 10-month-old boys, and the teacher was like, yeah, so I don't teach them, I'm just here to make sure that they are following the rules and the timing,
no whipping
is
of the
right.
kids,
Yeah,
no.
That's her
Saddling them
main,
up.
yeah, her main thing is to make sure that they don't exceed their screen time or working and they're fed or what have you. It's really not a huge deal while on set, I guess, working with 1, 2, 3 kids, but I could see how with this situation, since there are so many that might be in one scene together, that it has to be get it done. And these kids are brilliant actors, so they're not, I wouldn't think that they would go over 2 takes if not necessary, for most of their stuff, especially the talking head, just little interview style things. So it must be working, really well.
Yeah, they've all got a buddy of mine actually worked with Rico Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
because he's got a show, I think, on Nickelodeon or Nick Jr. He's got some sort of.
Oh, what's it called?
He is he's from Texas. That's wonderful. Like us, he's from Texas.
Shout out to Texas.
Shout out to Texas. What is? Let's see. I guess he was on iCarly. Corey in the House? No, that was a while ago. I don't know, but he does a bunch of. He worked with him on a couple of voiceovers.
Okay.
And this kid's a star, especially amongst the younger crowd. He's known, And so he said that he was, he walked through the streets of New York with him, and adults, kids, girls, everyone went nuts for him. So it's nice to see. Young actors that they inhabit their roles so well. Even Luke, I don't know what he's like in real life, but the kid that plays Luke,
he's kind of a genius kid. He's in Mensa, and he has a high IQ.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm. He's been in Mensa since he was 4 years old. He's
Nolan Gould.
I know I follow his Twitter, and I know that he does a lot of charity events and things of that nature.
Wow.
He seems like a pretty fun kid. So
That's incredible.
This is just an act. But
okay.
He seems like a fun-spirited.
He's apparently 2 grades ahead of Ariel Winter.
Yeah, and he's younger.
But he's younger. Dun, dun, dun.
That's that on set.
That magic of television.
Yeah.
The camera adds, or the camera takes away 2 years.
Yeah. You're demoted 2 grades on the camera. Should we take a quick break?
Yeah, let's see
let's
what
take a
the
quick
what the
break.
word is
Let's
out.
see what the word on the street is.
AfterBuzz TV. Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV. AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Thank you.
Wow.
And we're back. Wow, that was
AfterBuzz TV.
That was smooth.
That was like,
you know what that was like?
lounge.
You know when McDonald's commercials are shown like on BET or something?
Yes,
It's like
they get the-
McDonald's now introducing oatmeal. And it's like some jazzy music behind it. To get geared towards that audience.
I did
guess.
years ago. I did a Popeyes commercial in Spanish, and I did it for the Bonafide chicken.
Oh.
So I got to do the deep and it was in Spanish, right? And so I wondered. I said, well, why didn't they get me to do the English? Because I could drop it pretty low. But then I met the guy that was doing the Bonafide, who was was like a Lou Rawls looking black dude, and he was like Bonafide, like he was like way, and I was like, okay, that's why, because I'm the
Lou
Barry
Rawls.
White, I'm the Lou Rawls light,
Lou
because
Rawls
they
light.
brought in the real deal for
He's selling the spicy chicken.
Yeah.
The new recipe.
the new Bonafide. Anyway, shout out to Popeyes.
Popeyes. That's funny. Continuation for next time, along with Claire, because I feel like before the end of the season, Claire's going to run.
She has to.
I want Gloria to be her running partner or like to help with the campaign somehow.
Oh,
that would be just
great.
amazing. But now at the end of the episode, Phil got offered partner at a new real estate agency. So I'm interested to see where that goes.
I will guess that that may be a change of scenery, maybe like a new house, because
you never know, huh?
as these shows, it's always funny to watch. We were my girlfriend and I were watching the X-Files pilot.
Fiancé now.
Yeah, that's right, the fiancé.
We'll take a minute.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I proposed last week.
Not too many ladies. Guys.
Or
I'm
ladies.
still free.
Yes, Shannon is still ready to be proposed to. We can start with coffee, right? Start on a simple date. Propose that.
We can watch Modern Family.
We could watch Modern Family in the AfterBuzz TV studio. So we watched the pilot to X-Files, and it's always funny to watch shows with their pilots, because pilots are, they earmark a certain amount of money for the pilots, and then once they get picked up,
And they're so,
very different.
this pilot, these kids were 6 months younger, and that's a big change for
Really?
like an 8-year-old boy or like, what
Right,
I mean?
right.
It's a big change for
Hairstyles,
kids.
clothing, and then if the show is a hit, and you see this a lot. Like I said, X-Files, a lot of these like procedural, these cop shows. So you'll see, the really basic haircuts and the like bland clothing. And then when the show becomes a hit, like, CSI or
Wardrobe
whatever,
got money.
the wardrobe starts, they're sharp and the
Yeah.
sunglasses and everything.
Yeah. Oakley sponsors it.
It's pretty cool. So my guess is they're setting it up so that maybe the Dumfries can move to a nicer house, and then that can, lead to all sorts of things, maybe a new neighborhood, maybe.
I don't know. They just moved Kevin Hart next door.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm not
true.
100% backing that logic.
Oh,
but
you're right. Yeah.
it definitely could mean something else for Phil as far as more responsibility. So we'll see.
Phil, the career guy?
Yeah.
Is he gonna turn into a
I don't know. You never know.
boss man?
The boss man.
The big boss man.
He would embrace it to, 100% he would go above and beyond to fill the role
That's right.
of a partner.
He would be like Andy on The Office. He would just like really just like he'd do all those corny motivational like.
Yeah, that's a good television personality to pair him up with. They're pretty
The two
pretty
of them.
similar.
They could meet at a
mind-like.
conference maybe
Yeah.
or something cool. Different networks.
Just cross them all like those Disney shows. Where
That's
they're
right.
Just, like,
Everybody shows up
fate.
on everybody else's.
Another quick thing I want to talk about was the mommy issues. I thought that was funny.
Yes.
With Gloria and Claire and Mitchell, and I guess Mitchell and Claire have had this. I'm sure that they were poke fun at Gloria, especially that's your mom now,
Right.
And
well, they did that at the Halloween episode last year, right?
And in the first season, there was the things where Luke slipped out that she was a coal digger, but he was like, "Oh yeah, my mom said that you used to dig coal," but it was a gold digger,
Right.
obviously, and so I'm sure she let some had some verbal abuse towards her and some frustration at the beginning, and so they probably had this little inside joke where they just kind of make fun of her things that she says, her little like quirky sentences or phrases that she tries to say, but. The Snickers snackers, they're like a box of knickknacks, and so Claire starts to make fun, and Mitchell doesn't really chime in, he kind of defends Gloria, and then Claire goes off on this whole rant about how, he's making her mom, which technically she is his mom,
right?
But and then she cuddles up next to
which is
Ed
funny
O'Neill.
because you would think that it only seems natural that that the gay man and the really attractive curvy woman would that they'd have that kind of that bond,
Yeah.
Whereas Claire is the more serious. I
and
think
they're very close to age. Gloria is only 14 months younger than her.
right.
So I'm sure there's still that slight sense of,
Competitiveness.
Yes, definitely. Putting up her guard a little bit, maybe. And but then she realizes that really she has daddy issues.
She has the daddy issues, and she's projecting the mommy issues onto her brother.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's time.
I mean, that's
the show.
That's pretty much it. I mean,
The show is.
if anybody else has questions for us, feel free to tweet us or write in, or
Yeah.
maybe something
So
out
how
there
can
somebody
people
wants to talk
find
about.
you, Mario?
You can follow me on Twitter. That's at Cinemario, like Cinema Rio. That's CINEMARIO.
And I haven't updated my Funny or Die, and I will in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to plug my Twitter also. It's Shannon J. Rogers, and Rogers is RODGERS. I'm like one letter away from letting it be Shannon Joy Rogers. I think you have to actually pay money for them to add that character.
Which the...
I'm one character too long if I wanted my full name.
Oh,
so,
I see.
yeah.
They have
Darn
rules
you,
about
Twitter.
that.
Darn you. Well, join us next week for another episode of Modern Family on AfterBuzz TV.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.